Alrighty, so talking about core and balance guidelines, when we say like training the core, we are certainly not just talking about working on the six pack, right? Like there's sort of this idea of the core being like your abs, right? And that's not a bad idea because your abs are part of your core, but they're not the only part of your core. Like your low back, even your glutes. We're talking about the entire I want us to retool. Like when we think core, the image that pops up in your head shouldn't be of a six pack. The image that pops up in your head should be like the lumbopelvic hip complex, right? It's the LPHC. It's a little bit of glutes. It's a little bit of everything there, right? So all of the stuff that's sort of stabilizing and moving our spine around, I consider that to be our core. We know there's a lot of lower back problems in adults. We see a lot of stuff show up when we're seniors. So it's especially important for youths to train their core from a really early age and develop that motor skill and develop how to like stabilize the spine so that they can maintain that health throughout the rest of their life. So we're going to talk about the importance of core and balance training and how that's going to be very effective for youths, talk about how we can implement it in the OPT model and how to design an effective and safe core and balance program. So like I said, this is your entire lumbopelvic hip complex. So when I say lumbopelvic hip complex, what I mean is any and all of the muscles that are attaching to and moving the spine. That's your core, right? So when we look at this, we've got different, whoops, that's my email. There's different layers of our abdominals, right? Let's see, layers of the core. Layers of the earth. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, because the core. So there are like different parts of our core here. I mean, you can see like even in this picture alone, there's different layers, but that's not even, this is actually shaving off even more. Take a look here. You can kind of see a little bit better what we're talking about, right? There's a couple different, you got your outer like fascia here, right? And then if you cut that outer fascia away, then we're going to have like our six pack. So there's the six pack right there. And then if you cut the six pack away, you see this muscle, this sort of like wrapper. It looks very similar to that outer layer actually. That's called your transverse abdominis in the middle there. And so like that is the front part of your core. We haven't even talked about like the posterior side. So looking on the back side, you're going to, oh, and actually we haven't even talked about the sides yet, right? You've also got your external obliques around the outside, you get your internal obliques on the inside, and then more of that transverse abdominis as it sort of wraps around. And then we've got the low back, which let's try low back instead. There we go. So we're going to see back here, you can see like some lumbar fascia holding everything together. You can see your Erector Spinae, which is going to run all the way like top to bottom. And then actually, they're not even getting all the way into it yet again. There's even more. There we go. Underneath that, which is like your multifidus, right? All the little tiny muscles in between each of your individual vertebrae. So we got a lot of different layers here. So here's an actual top-down version of what your spine what your core actually looks like. You can see here's the spine as it's like running up and down, right? And then there's your rectus abdominis, and then there's this layer. Look at this like line that they're kind of drawing here. That's your transverse abdominis filling up like all of that can there. And then you'll have your external oblique sort of wrapping around both sides, your Erector Spinae on the outside. On the inside, like middle bits, you're going to have your quadratus lumborum, and you're also going to have all the individual little multifidus muscles that are in there as well. So what I want you guys to think of, let's see here, layers of the core. Let's see if I can find somebody who's made this picture. I found it once and I didn't save it because I'm dumb. I always want to show it to people. I can never find it. Layers of the where they make it, it's basically a box. I'm gonna have to draw it again. I'm so bad at drawing it. Local stabilization system versus global stabilization box. Come on. This will be the last time I try to Google it. If I can't find it, then we'll just go ahead and do it. Oh, okay. I gotta hire a professional artist to just like come in here and do all this stuff for me. All right, so here's what we want to think of, right? When we think of our core, we want to think of it as a full like system that is able to kind of stabilize everything, right? So imagine if like you're gonna send someone a game of Jenga, right? So it's a Christmas gift or something like that. You want to make sure that that Jenga is like in a box that's going to hold all of those freaking blocks in place, so that it's not just like randomly like moving around making a mess, right? Like to where they open up their Christmas present or whatever it is and it just comes like crashing out on the floor. We don't want that to happen, right? We want to all stay nice and contained until they want to play the game. Well, that's kind of what your spine is like. Your spine has all of these muscles that surround it and hold it in whatever position your body is trying to hold it in. Now, when we think of exercise, a lot of times we think of like movement, right? We think of like moving things around. But what's funny about like core training is sometimes it's more about anti-movement than it is about movement. It's about stabilizing and holding all your individual discs in place, rather than just focusing on like, crunching the spine and stuff, which is why there's a huge difference between your six pack and your core. Your six pack is, part of your core, but it's only part of your core. So I want you to think of it as like a box here, right? Let's say I'm going to put like some discs here. You know what? Hold on. We're going to make a spine here, right? And then I'll just like copy and paste that. So imagine like here's all your individual discs, right? And we want to make sure that these all stay in place, right? We do not want these to really move around too much. So how am I going to ensure that that happens? How do I make sure that this doesn't really move around too much? Well, I am going to put a layer in front of it that stabilizes it and keeps it from excessively moving forward. I'm going to keep those discs from sliding to the front by creating some abdominal stability that pushes back on them and holds them back this way. So this will be our first like layer here. We'll put this on the inside layer. This is going to be what is known as your transverse abdominis. So we'll call that the front of our box here, right? Front of the box is going to be, it's going to be that transverse abdominis. Okay, so we'll sort of like put a little like, oh, that's not what I need yet. We'll sort of label this out and call that our TVA, right? Transverse abdominis. Right. So there's our TVA, right? And that's going to stabilize the front of our box. But we also need to create stability on both sides, right? We need we need to make sure that my spinal discs don't slide out to the right. I need to make sure they don't slide out to the left. So what we're going to do there is we're going to create some sides to the box, right? We're going to put one here and create a little bit of stability on that side. And then we're going to put one on the other side, which is going to go here. And that's going to, create stability on the side there, using that what we call our internal obliques. I'm going to put both of these. These are going to be our internal obliques, right? So their job is to hold the spine in place on both sides, right? So now I've got the front creating stability, keeping my discs from sliding this way. And I've got the sides, which keep them from sliding in either direction there. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another box in the very back that's going to hold it together and create stability, pushing from the backside, resisting movement. My discs won't be able to slide behind me, right? They won't be able to slide out from under me in this direction, right? And that is where our multifidus comes in, right? Like the muscles that are stabilizing in the back, right? So the multifidus, which is going to be back here. Oh, that didn't quite line up the way I thought it would. I'm going to create like a little box in the back. So there's a little box back there running behind the spine, right? So it kind of goes through and, you know, connects like that, right? That's the back side of things. That's going to be my multifidus, okay? So we'll call that multifidus, or we can call it your transversospinalis muscles, which are all the little tiny, like itty bitty ones, right? So we'll say transversospinalis, right? So basically, they're back there in the back part of our spine, like where like the ridge processes are. You know, they're there to create that stability from behind. You know, I'm actually gonna let me change where I put that arrow. We'll put it like behind, like back here, right? So we'll go like that, and that'll really kind of make that a little bit more clear. So there's our transversospinalis, or our multifidus, right? So we're creating stability in the back. So now we've got a pretty good job. We've done a pretty good job of keeping the spine from moving this way, because I got a box over here with my internal oblique. We've kept it from moving that way. I got the internal oblique on that side. We've kept it from moving back, right, with my multifidus and transversospinalis, and I kept it from moving to the front with my transverse abdominis. Now I just need to create a little bit of pressure coming from the top. I need to create a little bit of pressure coming from the bottom. So if I can squeeze on those two directions, you know, that's going to create even more stability. So if it's coming from the top, we are going to call that your diaphragm, which is, yeah, the diaphragm that we talked about that was mostly responsible for breathing. That is actually the muscle that is going to stabilize your spine a little bit from the top. It creates intra-abdominal pressure from above. This is why if you've ever like had like a really bad fall and you felt like you've got the wind knocked out of you, you are spasming your diaphragm and it's becoming very hard to breathe. You know, that oftentimes happens because like your diaphragm will work to contract really, really hard to stabilize your spine, because that's actually priority number one. Your entire nervous system runs through your spine, so it needs to be, you know, protected for sure. And then at the bottom, we have what are called your pelvic floor muscles. So the pelvic floor muscles are on the bottom, creating a little bit of stability there, right? So this is your inner abdominal layer, right? If we look at that sort of top-down picture, right? This is everything on the inside. That's an individual spinal disc. This is everything that's actually directly attached to the discs, holding that and creating stability. So the transverse abdominis on the inside here, right? The internal obliques, right? All the little multifidi muscles, even your psoas, like getting a little connection in there, right? They are all creating that internal stability. Actually, there's a great picture, right? You can kind of see from the side there, right? There's all the little individual multifidi muscles, or the transversospinalis muscles. And then there's like, that's layer. And then there would be the Erector Spinae on top of that. There's the pelvic floor muscles, and the diaphragm would be up here. Does that make sense so far? Anybody who hasn't seen this before, or anybody, just anybody, does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, I like it.
Inner box, right? Now my little picture here is going to get really complicated. So I'm probably going to draw it and then I'll just erase it all. But now we need to imagine the outer box. So on that inside layer is all the anti-movement stuff I talked about. It's all there to stabilize the spine and resist unwanted movement. So again, we talk about like exercise. Everybody thinks it's all about creating movement. In this case, I'm really talking about creating anti-movement. I'm trying to resist too much movement. But what if I do want to move my spine? Well, that's where we're going to have like a little outer box here. Like I said, this is where it gets, I've seen good drawings of this before. I promise you, they exist on the internet. I just can't do it myself. So there's an outer layer. So we're going to put a layer in front of that box. We're going to put a layer that kind of goes just outside of it here, right? And we're going to create like another sort of outside box approach here. And so that's going to go like that. Switch connecting that, I guess. So the outside portion of the box, right? This is your six pack. So I'm going to put like this right here. This is going to be what we call the rectus abdominis. Okay, your rectus abdominis, yeah, that's what moves your spine around. If you look at the anatomy of your transverse abdominis, you can see here it just kind of wraps around the core to create stability, right? It's creating what we call inner abdominal pressure, right? And wraps around and works together with our internal obliques as well. Versus, let's take a look at the rectus abdominis. Look at where it's attaching, right? This one attaches all up to our ribs and our sternum and our pelvis, right? So what that does is it pulls our ribs towards our pelvis, right? Our pelvis kind of curls up and our rib cage kind of curls down. This is the crunch muscle right here, right? This is the stabilizer that keeps you from pulling your, throwing out your back when you, reach behind in the car to like grab a sweatshirt or something. Closed it. This one is the one that crunches your abs. So it's the outermost layer, and that's the one that we see, externally, and that's the one everybody wants to work on, right? So again, we're going to have an outside layer that's responsible for moving our spine. The same thing is true of the obliques, right? We are going to have, if we go here, we're going to see we've got our external obliques. Right, they are outside of our internal obliques, and they're there to move our spine. Right, they're there to twist us. Right, and then in the backside, which you can't really see in this version here, but like if there was like, if it came up like this from behind, and then it was just like, pointing to the backside like that. Right, that is going to be our Erector Spinae. So you think about like deadlifting and you're working your low back, or if you're doing like a Superman or a back extension, right? The stuff that moves your spine, right? That's your Erector Spinae. So all those muscles along the back there, and it creates like that low back arch that we're looking for, right? Oh my God, yeah, there we go. See that guy's like scoop that he's got going on right there? You can kind of see his Erector Spinae. I think he's purposely kind of like flexing it and stuff, but like you can actually see that effect there, right? So when we see the anterior pelvic tilt that we keep talking about in anatomy, right? It's the purple side over here on the left. You can see the what's happening here is the iliopsoas and the rectus femoris, which are two hip flexor muscles. They would be attached at the bottom, and they would be, flexing and pulling down on the spine here. So we look at like the you look at your hip flexors, they're the ones that actually like grab the spine in the front there, and they sort of like pull it forward like this or pull it down, right? That's going to create this forward motion. Meanwhile, the Erector Spinae, which is in charge of pulling back like this, is also going to create that motion. So we end up with this exaggerated scoop posture, right? We end up with this, I like to call it Instagram booty, right? It's like somebody sticking out their butt to look better for a picture, we see a lot of that in posture, right? And so we get tight Erector Spinae, tight hip flexors, and weak, we're going to say abdominals, right? But when I say abdominals, I'm not trying to get somebody to crunch their spine forward. I'm trying to get them to create spinal stability. If they can resist that unwanted movement, that's not going to happen anymore. And then they got weak glute muscles. So that's sort of the box that we're seeing here, right? It's six sides. You've got the bottom and the top, that's your pelvic floor muscles and your diaphragm. You've got both sides, that's going to be your internal obliques. Then you've got your back side, which is your Erector Spinae, and your front side, which is your Transverse Abdominis. Then there's another layer outside of that that is actually moving your spine around. And that is going to be your rectus abdominis in the front that crunches you to the front, your external obliques on the side that crunches you to the side or twists you, and your erector spinae, which performs back extension, right? And those are basically, that's what our core actually is. Now, obviously, this is sort of like the very center of our body. So a lot of our balance and a lot of our coordination and a lot of our posture, right, comes from our core. It comes from these areas here that we need to look on. So, a lot of people struggle with core stabilization, and they do a lot of like core work. They're like, I do my sit-ups every day, and I just, I still have low back pain. What the heck is going on? Like, I work on my core all the time, but I still have back pain, or I still have balance issues. I still have aches. I still have pain. Like, what's going on? I did all my core work like I was supposed to. And it's like, well, you did a lot of external core work, right? You worked on the erector spinae, you moved, right? You worked on your rectus abdominis, you moved. You worked on your external obliques, you moved, right? Rather than teaching like, your body what it needs to do, which is resist the unwanted movement. So again, we're going to look at NASM's OPT model for guidance here. And we go back to that idea of like what the OPT model is sort of like telling us. And it's like, you think about like strength, that's all about movement. But you look at stabilization and it's all about anti-movement. It's all about resisting unwanted movement and creating stability within certain joints. So we need to build a foundation of being able to stabilize everything, which are going to be core exercises that don't really move our spine around. Then we can get into like, yeah, let's do some crunches, let's do some spinal twists. Let's move that spine around. But before we learn how to move it, we need to learn how to stabilize it, right? I don't know why this is the example that just popped into my head, but if you were teaching somebody how to like, drive a car for the very first time, right? You wouldn't like turn the car on and then like put it in drive and then put somebody in the seat and be like, all right, the car's in drive. Now you got to learn how to like, this is the steering wheel, we're going to do this. This is the shifter, you get these brake pedals, meanwhile the car's like rolling away. Like, you don't want to do that, right? You got to learn how to like hold the car in place. You start with it in park, and then you teach them all the like moving parts. And it's like, here's what you're going to do to move it forward. Here's what you're going to do to stop it and stabilize it, right? You're going to learn how to use both of those systems, but you need to learn how to like stay in one spot before you learn how to like move around, right? That's exactly how our core training should go as well. So our stabilization phase 1 or level 1 style of core training is going to be primarily focused around the types of core exercises that do not move our spine. That's going to be things like planks. That's going to be things like side planks or a floor bridge or a bird dog or like a Pallof press, for those of you who don't know what that is. A Pallof press is basically where you take like a cable machine and you're going to or a resistance band and you push straight away like this while the resistance kind of pulls back behind you. So you can see like, the resistance is going this way and he's pulling straight forward. Now you might be like, I thought you said that this is all about not movement. And I said, well, it's about no movement of the spine, right? So he's definitely like moving his arms, but his spine is learning how to stabilize in this range of motion, that range of motion. Now, it's learning how to stabilize through the entire range of motion there. So that's a really great exercise for your core that's all focused on like, stability. So that's the core, right? It is not just your abs. It's all of it. Typically we see clients with a really strong movement system and very weak stabilizers. So we need to do our core training. We need to teach these proper movement patterns from a really early age, because as we sort of start to develop like physically, as we're like getting old, as we see like youths getting older and stuff, they start to develop their habits, and those habits are either going to be really good or they're going to be really, really bad. For me, I tend to be kind of a sloucher. So when I sit, I tend to like kind of slouch down like this. And what that does is it curves my spine like that. In my abdominals, particularly my cruncher muscles, my rectus abdominis outer layer, instead of being nice and flat, curves like that. And so it's in a shortened, crunched position, which is why a lot of times when you see clients with a posterior pelvic tilt, they have that low butt tuck. It's not just the hamstrings pulling down the back, it's also the abdominals pulling up in the front. And I've had clients be like, oh, so my abs are overactive. And it's like, yes, they are, but it doesn't mean that they are overdeveloped, you know? So that is what we're seeing there, the rationale behind like core training. So a weak core is going to lead to inefficient movement patterns, which, you know, that's going to cause a lack of sports performance, but it's also going to create like predictable patterns of injury. We're going to see people throw out their low back. And a lot of times it's because they lack stabilization, and there's a lot of movement through the spine that we're not really aiming for, right? It's movement that's uncontrolled. So instead, we're going to use a couple different levels of core training here that are going to build on top of one another, right? We're going to start by primarily focusing on neuromuscular efficiency, which again is the ability to recruit the right muscle at the right time for the right amount of force. We're going to focus on developing stability and functional strength. You know, I don't want my client to be able to move their spine without being able to stabilize their spine first. So here's the OPT models, like levels of core training. So when we are picking this for our client, we need to have different types of exercises that we're going to use with different clients. So if I've got a client who is doing like core and they're in the stabilization system, right? So I open up like sort of I'm open up my OPT template here. Right. My clients in, you know, phase one, which means that they're in level one, because, you know, you look at the staircase, right? Phase one exists inside level one. So the types of core exercises that I'm going to choose are core stabilization exercises. Exercises for the core that involve little to no movement of the spine. You can see here she's doing a Superman, right? So she's going to lift her arms up, she's going to lift her legs up, she's going to hold that there, and she's going to go right back down to the floor. She's really not moving her spine too much. These are the exercises for the core that are primarily focused on neuromuscular efficiency, and they're developing that intervertebral, or in between each of the vertebrae, stability. So your plank is a really good example. Your floor prone cobra is a really good example. The Mcgill sit-up is a really good example. So I want to show you guys a quick little video. This is actually, we practiced this the other night when we were meeting in person, but I want to show you what's called the Mcgill Big Three. Okay, so the Mcgill Big Three is this core program developed by this physical therapist named Stuart Mcgill, and Stuart Mcgill is sort of the king of focusing on core stability. And he is a really big fan of like this. This video is from Squat University. This is one of my favorite YouTubers that breaks down. He's a physical therapist that breaks down a lot of like really key movements. And so he's going to kind of put the emphasis here on this stabilization system. And you can kind of see the difference. Like these don't seem like core exercises, right? These don't seem like a cable crunch down or a wood chop, a stability ball crunch, bicycle crunches. You know, there's a million crunch and back extension and twist exercises out there. You're going to notice that these core exercises really don't involve like a lot of movement. There's a little bit of movement, but it's not really a lot of movement in the spine. So here we go.
All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about the 3 core stability exercises you should do every day. Now, if you heard that one word in that phrase, it was stability. I'm not going to be talking to you guys about the 3 dynamic core exercises to work your abs. This is a stability video, meaning the emphasis is on limiting excessive or unwanted motion at our spine so that we can have awesome carryover to the exercises that we're looking to perform in the gym, like your squat, your deadlift, your bench, your clean, and snatch. If you do these exercises, I promise you, you will feel much more powerful in each one of those movements. So let's talk about what the exercise grouping is called, the Mcgill Big Three. Now, these are based off of the research from renowned back expert, Dr. Stuart Mcgill. Now, Dr. Mcgill has spent his entire life working on how to stabilize the spine and understand how the way in which we use our spine leads to certain types of injuries. Now, whenever we're trying to keep our spine resilient to injury, under load, we want to brace it, lock it into place, and then move about our hips. So the different exercises that we do today, starting off with the curl up, are going to emphasize that. Now, when a lot of people work the front of their core, what do? They do crunches. They move their spine. Look at my spine right now. It is flexing up and back down. Now, while that's not a bad exercise at working the front of your core through movement to strengthen your rectus abdominis or six-pack muscles, I want to emphasize stability. I want to limit any motion at my spine. So what am I going to do? Drop one foot. Now, if you're not in pain, doesn't matter which one. You're going to have your hands underneath your low back. Now, these hands are pressure sensors. They're going to pick up if you round your back. So keep your hands here to feel for whether or not that happens. What you're going to do is brace your core. You're going to turn all those muscles on, and then you're going to pick your head up just slightly off the floor and hold for 10 seconds. The hold is the most important part of this. We're not just moving our spine. We're trying to emphasize stability by getting those muscles to kick on and lock the spine in place. So this is what it's going to look like. Brace, pick the head up slightly, hold for 10 seconds. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then back down. Now, if you're feeling your neck is a little turned on and maybe just a little bit stiff while you're doing this, all you're gonna do is tuck your chin first. So just tuck your chin a little bit and then pick up. And that may help a lot as far as taking some tension off the front of your neck. But again, this is a slight pickup of the head. What I don't wanna see is this. Don't pick your head up this high. All you have to do is pick it up slightly. And by holding it here and keeping your core braced, all these muscles on the front side of your spine, like your rectus abdominis, your transverse abdominis, all those muscles are turning on really, really hard to basically stiffen the spine. Now, back down, something like this, do 6 reps in a row, and I promise you, you'll feel those muscles working. Now, what does that exercise do? Like I said, it's working the front of our spine. There is no one size fits all when it comes to hitting all the parts of your spine, because there's a lot of muscles that make up the core. So we need a different barrage of exercises to really hit all parts. Now the next one, let's do, how do we hit the side? Side plank. Now, you're gonna get down on your side from your elbows. Now the modified version is usually one of the most easy go-to exercises. You're just gonna pick up and hold in this position. Now this is a great exercise for hitting that downside part of your core and your lateral hip, your glute medius. So if you have a very weak or poorly coordinated glute medius, lateral hip muscles, you'll feel this working there too. Again, 10 seconds and then back down. Something like this, 6 reps on each side. Now if this is really easy, how do you modify it? Let's go to a full plank. From here, when you put our hands here, this is step 1. If that's too easy.
By the way, when you're doing that full plank, you might notice like a lot of times you see people stack their feet. They'll put one leg on top of the other. This is actually a better distribution. You basically do your top leg goes in front, your bottom leg goes behind. That's going to give you a better glute medius activation on the side of your butt there. Meanwhile, creating like stability. And then I think he's probably going to do it at some point. A lot of people who do the Mcgill approach to side planks will take their top arm, wrap it around, and grab their opposite shoulder. And that creates like a lot of like, just a lot more spinal stability.
Put your hands here. Again, we're holding for 10 seconds.
On the hip, that's fine.
Turning on those muscles of the spine. We're limiting excessive unwanted motion. I want that spine here, and I don't want to twist. We're limiting excessive or unwanted motion of the spine and stabilizing and locking it in place. So again, 6 reps each side, 10 seconds. Now we're going to go to the last part. We've hit the front, we've hit the sides, let's hit the back. Now, when most people think, how do I work the back? What do? They're trying to work back extensions, Supermans, things like that. You're moving your spine into an overarch, into extension. What do we want to do? We want to limit excessive or unwanted motion of the spine, lock it in place in a neutral position, and stabilize around that. The bird dog is a great exercise for that. Very low load on the spine, but working those muscles, the erectors of your spine, very well. This is what you're going to do. Get on all fours. Now again, find that neutral position. So you're not rounded, you're not overarched. Find that middle position from right here. You're going to brace your core and you're going to go opposites. So we're going to go right hand extension, left leg kick out. We're going to go out and we're going to hold it for 10 full seconds. Now, after that 10 seconds, keep the spine braced. This is the part where a lot of people mess up on, is we're gonna slowly come back, not move your spine, touch, back out. Hold for another 10 seconds. We're sweeping under our body. If you think about this, what's happening at my hips? Flexion and then back. This is like a squat as far as the motion that's occurring. Back flat, no motion at the, or motion at the hips. I don't want this, because what just happened? I lost my neutral spine in my back. So as you go out, you're holding, you're keeping that core braced, hold for 10 seconds, sweep back under the body, touch, and then back out. Now, common mistakes that I see with this exercise. First, kick the leg way too high. Now watch my back while this happens. I'll just do the leg movement, but people do this. What happened to my back? It overarched, it extended. I want that foot only a couple inches off the ground. Watch the difference. Overarch, I'm gonna keep it just a couple inches off the ground. Do you see the difference? So we're able to keep that core in a little bit better position because we're keeping our hips moving as they should, because the hips directly affect the spine. Next thing, I want you to think about really making a fist as hard as you can with your arm. And when you do that, you're gonna light up some of those muscles of your upper back as well. If you do the bird dog correctly and create as much tension from fist to foot, this is gonna be tough. You should be sweating by the time you're done with this. So watch how I do that with a lot of emphasis also in my fist making a lot of tension. So we're here, brace, fist, out. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Under, tap, back out. And again, 10 seconds. Now, if that is too tough for you and you're wobbling all over, how do you regress? You can do that with only the hips. So just be here and just extend the leg. Hold that for 10 seconds and back. Or if that's even too tough, you can do it where you're just moving your arms. But again, the end goal is just going all the way out and holding. A way that you can again progress that, if you want to add in just a little bit more dynamic movement of your arms, is going out and you can draw some squares. Again, emphasizing core stability while extremities are moving. That is the end carryover that we're looking for in our core stability work, because it's applicable to the way in which you move in the gym. Stable core, movement of extremities. I have been doing personally the Mcgill Big Three before every single workout for the past year, and I've seen crazy carryover into how well and how powerful I'm moving during my workout. On my off days, I still do this. I do a set of 6 for 10 seconds of each exercise. If I don't have a lot of time, if I have time, I do a descending rep scheme pyramid. 6 reps, 4 reps, 2 reps. If you want to do more, 8, 6, 4, 2. But again, the hold is the most important. You must do a 10-second hold to emphasize that stability, to limit the excessive or unwanted motion of the spine moving. We want to keep that spine locked in place while we move the rest of our extremities. But again, the Mcgill Big Three, I want you to start doing this. I promise you, you will find a huge carryover to how you feel and how you're moving in the gym. Hope you guys liked today's quick video.
So yeah, so that is, he's basically describing the same approach that NASM takes with the, actually I got it in the PowerPoint, with the OPT model here, focused on core stability. So you're gonna see, if you go into your textbook and you look at those like exercise checklists, right? So, and actually like Cyrus and Danny, you guys actually, I don't think I've given you a copy of these yet. We're gonna get these to you guys pretty soon here. But these are just like, this is just like a little checklist that I made. And you'll notice like, it's just every exercise in your book listed, and then there's a different list here, and there's a different list on the third one. And basically I took all the stabilization exercises and put them in like one little packet, took all the strength exercises, put them in a different packet, and all the power exercises in another packet. And so that way, like if you literally just like write a program by sticking on one, sticking in like one packet, you will make sure that you're in the correct level there. But in your book, they're all sort of listed out. You want to pick stabilization exercises for stabilization clients. And that's great. You can do program design with your book for the rest of your career, or you can sort of learn the characteristics and then, you know, identify all those exercises that are not in your book and where to put them. So for instance, the Mcgill sit-up is not in your textbook. So in a core training program, core stabilization exercises, if you were trying to like spot this animal in the wild, you know, it would be the type of core exercise that involves little to no movement of the spine. And it's designed to improve your neuromuscular efficiency. And it's all about intervertebral stability more than it is about like vertebral movement. So again, the plank is a good example, the cobra and the Mcgill sit-up. All of those are very little movement of the spine. Does that make sense, everybody? Everybody got a pretty clear idea of that? I know some of you guys have definitely seen this before.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Cyrus, Danny, how are you guys feeling about that? Pretty clear?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at the, so let's say you get really good at stabilizing your spine, but you want that six-pack. You know, like you want to carve out those abs, you know, you want those blocky abdominals. Great, let's do it. You know, as long as you got spinal stability, I am super okay with working on that six-pack. So this is where we're going to get into the strength level. So if your client's in, you know, a strength endurance routine or a hypertrophy routine or a max strength routine, you know, this is where we're choosing our strength exercises. These are going to be the core exercises that do move your spine, right? We're talking about that outer abdominal muscle that's attached to our ribs and crunches us around. We're talking about those external obliques that twist us around. You know, we're talking about that Erector Spinae that does major back extension, right? This is going to be a core exercise that adds a full range of motion concentrically, eccentrically. And then, yeah, there's a little bit of isometric action in there still as well. But like we are shortening the muscle, we're lengthening the muscle, we are moving the spine around, right? So this is designed to improve your core musculature through its full range of motion rather than just the limited hold it in one spot range of motion. So we're thinking of like a stability ball crunch. We're seeing back extensions. We're seeing Russian twists, right? That's the sort of
And actually, Brad, I have a question in regards to that stability ball. I asked you a couple days ago because I wanted to know what is the difference when I was looking into buying one. There's different sizes. Is it height? Is it comfort? Or
height.
Is there a difference with the size?
It's height. And if you are going to err on the side of caution, I always tell my clients, err on the smaller side rather than erring on the larger side. So it's actually pretty easy to look up. Stability ball sizes, height. Mayo Clinic has this information, I guess. That's interesting. So if you're between 5'1" and 5'7", you want a 170 centimeter ball. Wait, that's not right. I'm sorry, a 55 centimeter ball. I was like, that is huge. Not so good with the centimeters. I am. So yeah, how tall are you, Arlene?
5'4".
5'4". So yeah, I'd say like a 55 centimeter stability ball is going to do you really well. And if you err, like I said, err on the side of like going smaller than larger. Like I'm not 5'4", but if I had to choose between like, you know, if I had to choose between like this really huge one that's way too big for me, or like the two, like this is probably the right size for me. But like if I were choosing between this and this, because this isn't an option, I would go with the smaller one. Because like I can always adjust the height by simply, there we go. Good Lord. I was like trying to find like one where they have them listed. So there's the 55, there's the 65, there's the 75. And they're saying like, yeah, like 6'3" for a 75 centimeter, you know. I have one of these in my backyard. And I usually use this one for myself, and I use this one on a lot of my clients and stuff. But there are times where like, you know, if I'm actually having a little bit of trouble getting a good core activation, I will go down a size on the ball so that like I'm a little bit more level to the ground. And then I have to actually stabilize a little harder. So I prefer a smaller ball to a larger one.
Okay. Thank you.
But there is any one of those, like you can how can I say, like more standard, like it doesn't matter, like you can use with any kind of clients, or it has to be a really specific
Height? Yeah, if you're let's say you want to purchase like one ball, go with the small size. Go with the 55 centimeter one. You have like a client who's 6 feet tall, they can still use it. Technically they would use like a 55 centimeter ball. But if you only have room in your car for one, like if I was teaching like a boot camp and I needed to bring like 4 stability balls with me in my car, because I can't, I would probably, and I'm trying to like please everybody, I would just bring 55 or 45 centimeter ones. I'd pick the small ball because I think they're much more useful. They can still implement really well. If you have like a small stability ball, like let's look at chest press. Let's take a look at the stability ball chest press here. This guy's doing a great job. Like he's killing it in this photo here, right? Actually, you know what? Actually, no, he's not. Never mind. I'm lying. This guy's killing it. What do you see? And then this girl I don't like. So what do you see is the difference between this guy here, oh, this lady here, and this one right here? I do not like this one. Good, not so great. What do you guys see? This is for all the points today. You're gonna either fail the class right now. No.
Is it the arch?
It's not the arch. It's the neck.
Neck, yeah.
She's like,
I
she
was
has to
thinking
contract.
that too.
What's that?
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, supported, right? Now, let's see if I can find a picture. And then this guy was not supported yet, that's why I didn't like this one. Let me see if I can find a picture of somebody dropping their hips a bit. The thing is, these are pictures, these are all supposed to be demos. Like these should all be good pictures, but
No, because I remember in a college class I took for body conditioning, the coach would always say that even when he would have us do the McGills, this is not a neck workout.
Yeah. Man, nobody needs to strengthen this part of their neck. We have televisions for that. We're always like, and like we have enough reps. We're good. It's like shrugs. I don't have my clients do shrugs. We do too much of this already.
Yeah.
This ball's too big for her. I don't think it's that terrible, but you can see it kind of gives her an upright angle slightly, and it causes her to often drop her head. So I would encourage her to roll this way so she can get her head like at the apex of the ball. And then that's going to put her at an even further angle, but at least it's going to create a straight thing rather than like this arch here. Now, what I'm kind of looking for is there we go. Here's what we don't want. So this is the worst one so far. Her neck is not supported, and look at her hips, right? She doesn't have a straight line here.
Oh.
That's why you pick the right size ball. So even if I go with like a ball that's too, yeah, terrible. I think this guy's, oh no, he's purposely doing incline actually, I think in this. So I think he may be purposely, nobody drops their chest that much. At least nobody that would purposefully put their stuff on the internet. But like, yeah, so that's, if you're doing an incline, then yeah, it's fine. If you do though, make sure you do what this guy's doing, brace it on the wall. You see people see how she has to like go at an angle like this. That's because she should be going straight up. She's trying not to lose her balance. So if you're doing an incline chest press, always go 90 degrees and always brace that ball on the wall. But yeah, there's an overarch. Now, I just saw what I wanted to see. Let's see here. Who did I click? I clicked that guy. Then I clicked that guy. Oh, almost there. I can find this. That one. There. Okay. So take a look right here. This is Scott Herman. He's been around forever. But This ball, he's almost supporting his neck. This ball is actually too small for him. So this is an example of like a ball that's just a little smaller than it should be. But do you see how he's still able to have like a straight line, even with a ball that's too small? Whereas like when you have like a ball that's too big, it kind of forces you into an arch. This is why I always tell my people to err on the smaller side rather than the larger side. He's still able to create a really straight line, even if the ball's the wrong size. So me personally, what I recommend is go down a size rather than go up a size, but ideally get the right size. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, cool. And these are all stability balls, by the way. I just saw a picture of somebody using a medicine ball. There's a medicine ball. Medicine ball is the small, hard one. Stability ball is the big, air-filled one.
And the Bosu is the half one, right?
And the Bosu is the half one. Yeah, and then there are lots of medicine ball types. There are a couple different ones. There's the really hard ones, which you are not really supposed to throw these, but everybody still does. These are mostly meant just to be like balancing. There's the actual medicine ball, which is like this really big leather, like sewn together one. That's used for like slamming. So you can slam it on the ground, or you have an actual, they call them slam balls, and they're a medicine ball variation where they're rubber. They're filled with sand. And so when you slam them, they go. You should never throw these, because if you do, number one, they'll crack. Number two, they will bounce back and they will hit you in the face. I have never had it happen in one of my classes because I always give that explanation, but one of our old instructors a long time ago was having students do medicine ball slams with the rubber ones that we have at Sochi. And like a student, I don't think they broke their nose, but they definitely gave themselves a bloody nose. I'm not gonna exaggerate and say it was busted, but they definitely, came right back. So always use the ones that don't bounce if you're gonna do a throwing exercise, which is mostly what the medicine balls are for. They're for chucking around. You can do, partner passes if you want, but don't throw them into the wall. Okay. So then, we're adding that full range of motion. Now, speaking of full range of motion, what if we want to learn how to, we've learned how to hold our spine. We learned how to move our spine. What if we want to move our spine really fast? Well, that's where the power level comes in, right? These are core power exercises. This is where you might end up doing, you might throw a medicine ball. Medicine ball pull over throw. Kind of the classic example,
So
I hate this video. I always fall for that one. I remember he does a very dumb demo. This is a little better, right? So he's crunching, but look at how explosive he is when he's crunching, right? So he's on a stability ball, but he's doing a pullover throw with his medicine ball. And that one, you kind of needed the squishy ball. I know I just said don't throw those hard rubber ones. He kind of needed the hard rubber one so that it can bounce back at him. I would say like do that exercise with a partner rather than the wall. But that is a good example. Or you can see here, she's doing a medicine ball soccer throw, which is like a small little crunch with your abdominals. And you will see, like, it's hard to tell in this picture, but that's one of the like sand-filled squishy ones. It's not going to bounce back at her and like, give her a bloody nose. So these are core exercises that involve a full range of motion of the spine, which is totally what I said last time, right? Core strength movements are core exercises that involve a full range of motion of the spine. But then there's just a little bit afterwards that says at functionally applicable speeds, which is NASM's fancy way of saying fast. Functionally applicable means like you're just trying to move as quick as you can. So this further improves your neuromuscular efficiency, and it improves your rate of force production. So now you are producing the same level of force that you might have been able to in the strength level, but you can do it at twice the speed. So you're increasing your power output. Medicine ball soccer throw like here. A Russian twist with a throw. This is a really fun exercise, actually. This is one of my favorite ones to do with my clients. It's not in your book necessarily, but he's going to set himself up there. I love this exercise. I personally like to do it with my clients rather than like he's doing it like a little bit slow here on like the eccentric portion. But that is a terrific core exercise. A reverse overhead soccer throw. This is one that you'll almost never get to do unless you're on like a field outdoors. But it's literally like the soccer throw, but instead of going this way, you're going this way. So it's a little bit explosive for the low back. I think this is, you can see this picture here. This is like what they started throwing into the new like military, just not the new military, but the new Army fitness test. That is very weird compared to the old one. The old one was so simple, and then they retooled it. Now it's really complicated. Chris, I think we talked about that like your first day here was the new or at least the first time we ever met up in person. We were talking about how they retooled it, and it's very odd.
Yeah.
So that's that is the core stuff, guys. So again, you're picking the right exercises for the right client. I know I didn't go over sets and reps today. We're going to get into that later down this course. But for now, just paying attention to the exercise selection, we're just plugging the right exercises into the right routines. Again, I always describe the OPT model as a paint by numbers situation. You know, as long as you're paying attention to the numbers and you're painting them properly, you're going to be in a good spot. Questions on the core stuff?
No.
All righty. So that's probably the most important. Now we got to talk a little bit about balance. We got to get into the rest of this here. So general guidelines for core training. You want to get into it about 2 to 3 days per week. You want to implement it with your resistance training. And I know a lot of people love to do their core at the end. That's so popular. You know, they use their abs as like a finisher because everybody's abs, it's like, it's my favorite part. I'm trying to get my six pack. I get it. And I like it. I totally get it for motivation. But NASM prefers to put core training at the beginning. And so do I, because it's about getting those muscles turned on before you start working out, so you can use them while you're working out. If you're doing a stabilization stuff, your core training should be your core stuff should always be at the beginning. You want to do some like six pack work, yeah, do that at the end of your workout. But for core stability, always start with it. So now we got to look at balance. So balance is, we're going to give it a definition first. Balance is going to be defined as how far outside of your base of support you can maintain equilibrium. So if your base of support is standing on one leg, it's how far you can hold something outside of your body while standing on one leg without losing, you know, equilibrium and tipping over, right? So what's great about core training is it can further increase your body awareness, get the right things turned on, and maximizes sensory input because your brain's like, use this, use that, oh my God, use everything, you know, because you're just trying to stabilize, right, while you're balancing. And it's really great for developing neuromuscular efficiency and proprioception. Remember, proprioception is that sort of most important thing that we've got when we're working, that body's understanding of where it is in space. We are trying to increase that understanding. So what we're going to do is we are going to use what we call, this is a big fancy term, a proprioceptively enriched environment, right? Proprioceptively enriched environment, it means a wobbly environment. You're going to put your client in a controlled but unstable environment, right? It's an environment where, yeah, they're going to be unstable, but they should be safe, right? So we can progress this depending on the client. So we're going to start them on the floor, right? Like that's the most stable. The floor is not moving around. I mean, we live in California, so the floor likes to move around a little bit sometimes, but like for the most part, you know, it's a nice stable situation. Then you want to make it a little bit harder. You can throw them onto a balance beam. So a balance beam is just going to be, you know, that's actually also very, very, very stable. And I'm talking about like this style of balance. This little like small one here. That's the type of balance beam we mean. Or, you know, it could even just be like honestly, just take a 2x4, lay it on the ground. I know it's simple, but hey, guess what? It's also effective. But it's not really designed to like make the situation more wobbly. It's just designed to kind of change. Part of our balance is also like how our eyes in our brain sort of interpret things. So by being like just a little bit off the ground and like limiting this, your brain's like, and it just works a little harder. So there's your balance beam. If you want to make that a little bit harder, you're going to go on to what is called a half foam roller. And so what's going to happen here is now we are going to add instability in one of our planes of motion. So one of our planes of motion is the frontal plane, or we've got the sagittal plane. And then we got the transverse plane, which would be the twisty stuff. You're not going to really get that from a half foam roller. But you can either get frontal movement or you can get sagittal movement, depending on how you set that half foam roller up. So if you stand on one side of it this way, you're getting sagittal instability. This guy's knees are caving in. You're getting sagittal instability there, right? Or she's doing a tricep bit here. But like we're looking at this more from like a balance standpoint. So we're looking at more like leg stuff, or, you know, as you can see here, again, sagittal instability, right? So she moves unstable like this. The roller's going to roll. Or look at this guy here. He's going side to side. So he's getting frontal plane instability. So either option is really good in terms of creating that instability. And what's great about a half foam roller, you can use both sides. This version's much more stable, but very much limits the surface area. Or you could do this version here, which is very unstable because it has a lot of like rolling action. Guys, these are $20. Nope, $13 on Amazon. I recommend getting 2 of the 12-inch ones. This one's $8. Get 2 of these, and what you can do is you can use them on like one leg at a time, which is great, but you can also put both legs on top and create some instability here and learn how to like track those knees properly. Terrific exercise. Just get the 12-inch version, if you ask me. If you want to do like a stacked leg situation where like one's in front and one's in back, you're trying to get that type of stability, you'll need the 36-inch one. But me personally, I just 2 12s. That's all I've ever really taken the time to use in micro. I've had the 36-inch ones, but I don't ever really implement them that often. So that's our next progression beyond the balance beam, right? We go one notch up into the half foam roller because we're adding one plane of motion worth of difficulty. Now, the next one we've got is what's called an Erector pad. And that's what you see in the picture here. An Erector pad, or a foam pad, everybody in this call buy one of these. They are $20, and it is my favorite. Well, that's like a $65 one. Hold on. YouTube, Amazon. Now, Erector pad, $84. Who's buying an $84 Erector pad? You tell me, internet. Who's buying that? Show me one person. Yeah, they're $25. Get one of these. There's a $20 one right there. I promise you, everybody should have one of these if you're a trainer, because they're great for balance. They're great for balance, but more importantly, they're important for kneeling on. You got a client who's going to do a kneeling hip flexor stretch? Awesome. Put them on a foam pad, right? You got a client doing a bird dog? Great. Put their knee on a foam pad. You're stretching out your client at the beginning of a session, or you're stretching out your client at the end of a session. Kneel on a foam pad. You got like 4 or 5 sessions to get through. You are going to have the knees of a 90-year-old by the time you're 30. Get one of these pads. It is for you more than the client. I promise you. This is the first piece of equipment I replaced when my car got stolen and I lost like all my training equipment. This is the first thing I replaced, and I'm not kidding. Like, because it's for me. And yes, it is also for your client. So this adds 2 planes of motion, right? This can sort of be squishy. If your client puts too much weight in the front, they go sagittal. They put too much weight in the back, they go sagittal. They put too much on the way on the side, they go frontal and frontal. So now the half foam roller, they can only move 1 plane at a time. Erector pad can move 2. So that's why it's the next direct progression. And then lastly, there's the Dyna Disc, which, if you're paying attention to our progressions here, we added 1 plane, we added 2 planes. Now we're going to add our final 3rd plane here. This is where we really get some squishy balance, and it can move in all three planes. They can dump too much weight forward, backward, side, side, and they can twist a little bit. So they have to really balance here in all three planes of motion. That's why it's at the very end. So we would progress our client. Let's say I've got my client he's doing what's called single leg balance here. It's the simplest balance exercise. I would start my client on the floor. If it gets too easy, I'll move into a balance beam. If it gets too easy, half foam roller, RX pad, Dyna Disc. So that's how we're going to progress. Sometimes you'll have, let's say you're trying to break your bench press record and you're stalled out, you're plateaued. What do? You change up a different variable. Maybe you do the same number of reps rather than trying to, because like if you're trying to like get a new 1 rep max and you throw the weight on and you fail and you throw the weight on and you fail, like over and over again, you're just not getting stronger, right? Well, instead, go back to your higher rep workout, and maybe you make it harder by slowing the tempo down. Maybe you do a couple extra reps. There are other ways to make things harder. That's where balance comes in. If we're focused on stability and balancing, we're going to make things harder by making it more unstable. So we have to work harder to hold ourselves in place. So we're going to start with balance stabilization exercises for clients in the balance level. What the heck is a balance stabilization exercise? Well, it's a balance exercise that has little to no joint movement in the balance leg. So balance stabilization exercises are exercises that involve little to no movement of your balance leg. So, right, like this is a balance exercise for sure. Like this person's standing on one leg and they have to balance. But look at their leg, their hip joint is moving, right? Their knee joint's moving a little bit. Ankle joint is pretty much staying stable. But like he's got movement of his balance leg. That's not what we're looking for when we're trying to have like a beginner client learn how to just simply stabilize. Instead, you might do something like a single leg lift and chop. So that's this exercise right here. Now you might be saying, wait, you just said don't move. And it's like, I said, don't move the balance leg. Here's his balance leg. Look at all the little micro movements that he's doing. He's trying to stabilize. He's moving his arms, sure, but he's not moving his balance legs. You can do a single leg Palloff press and get a little bit of balance and a little bit of core, right? You can do a single leg, what's called a single leg balance with reach. And it's where you don't move your balance leg, you just move the other leg. A little bit of hip action, a little bit of glute action, a little bit more glute action, right? So these are exercises that don't move the balance leg. It's all about that joint stability and neuromuscular efficiency. So the single leg lift and chop is a good example. The single leg balance with reach is a good example. Even a single leg shoulder press, which is primarily like, I would call that a shoulder exercise, I think that is a balance stabilization exercise because you are clearly balancing, but you are not moving that balance leg, right? So what happens, like if you have a client who wants to do some arm work and you're working on all the stuff that's important for their posture and their health, and they're like, I want a little more bicep action. Great. You know what? And they're like, I hate all this balance work. Okay, we'll do a single leg bicep curl. I get my balance work, you get your arms, we're both happy, right? That's why I like to throw a lot of my optional extra stuff in. So now you can see he's just stabilizing. He's not moving the leg that's planted on the ground. That's what makes something a balance stabilization exercise. Anything that requires balance is a balance exercise. Anything that requires balance and doesn't move the balance leg is a balance stabilization. Now, what if you do want to move that balance leg, right? Well, that's where we're going to start getting into more dynamic balancing. We are going to get into our balance strength exercises, right? So these are exercises that involve a full range of movement of the balance leg. Are you guys starting to see a pattern here with our core stuff, right? Core stabilization, don't move the core. Balance stabilization, don't move the balance leg. Core strength, move the core. Core stabilization, balance stable, core strength, move the core. Balance strength, move the balance leg, right? So balance strength, this is going to involve full range of movement of the balance leg, dynamic joint stabilization rather than reflexive joint stabilization. So rather than just like holding it, right, we are balancing through a range of motion. So like a lunge to balance is a really good example of that. So she's going to lunge. Her balance leg here is moving, and then it has to stabilize. And so she moves that balance leg, and then she stabilizes, right? Or maybe it's like a single leg Romanian deadlift, or maybe a single leg squat touchdown, right? Again, moving the balance leg, standing on his left, he moves his left ankle, knee, and hip. So that is the strength level. Now, if our client's in the power level, we're going to get into balance power. So this involves like rapid eccentric deceleration and then stabilization at the end phase. So this is where they're going to do like a hopping exercise. This is reactive or explosive stabilization into the balance, right? They might do like a single leg hop to stabilization, right? So he's going to jump and stabilize that balanced leg. So again, we went from not moving our core to moving our core to moving our core fast. We went from not moving our balanced leg to moving our balanced leg to moving our balanced leg fast. So that's the explosive power level approach. Or maybe like an ice skater. This is one of the best exercises out there. I swear this is one of my all-time favorites. And she stabilized. I would stabilize longer than that. She should be holding that 3 to 5 seconds. This is Nassim's video too, by the way. She should hold that 3 to 5 seconds. Let's see if this guy does it. The not Nassim video. There we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's not that big a deal. But that's the balance power approach, right? So again, 2 to 3 days a week of this, safe. You want to always make sure it's progressive. And the ways that we make balance and core training harder is we make it more proprioceptively challenging. We do something stable, then we do it unstable. Obviously we've got the OPT model to help us progress and regress. But we're going to work our way up and then work our, and maybe reset and work our way back down at a more advanced level. So like if you took a client from, let's say you teach them how to do a plank, then you teach them how to do a stability ball crunch, then you teach them how to do like a medicine ball pullover throw. You come back and now it's like, hey, my core is way stronger. Let's do a harder version of the plank. Let's do a heavier stability ball crunch. Let's do a more explosive stability ball pullover throw. Right. So month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, 5, 6, we just move up and down the OPT model. It's a very dynamic sort of system there. Any questions on any of that, guys? Doesn't sound like it. All right. We do have another PowerPoint to get through really quick, but we've kind of got our rhythm now. We're going to knock this out. We're going to do great. Oh, do not do that, actually. Let's take a look at the plyometric and SAQ approach. So plyometrics, like I said, used to be part of the movement prep. Now it's kind of becoming part of the skill or sports development section. But these are going to be plyometric exercises or explosive exercises. I like to call them reactive exercises, which is what a lot of people call them, because it is literally about your body reacting to something explosively. Like imagine, like, break down for a second something in really slow motion. You jump up and you jump up and then land, right? In slow motion, your foot makes contact. That's when your nervous system knows to recruit all the muscles to slow you down. So then you slow down with the rest of your foot. You are reacting to the ground, you touching the ground. So I like the term reactive, but plyo means explosive. So I also like that term. So these are going to be explosive movements that are designed to improve our power. And then we're also going to talk about speed drills, agility drills, and quickness drills, which are aspects of athleticism. right? Speed is traveling in one direction as fast as possible. Agility is changing directions as fast as possible. And quickness is learning how to respond to something really quickly. It's your reaction time. Or you can think of it as like hand-eye coordination. That's a good way to think of it as well. Obviously this is really fun stuff that kids like to implement, and we need to know how to be explosive. So like I rolled my ankle like what could have been really bad this weekend when I was playing, when I was playing Ultimate. There was literally a hole where they had taken a sprinkler out and they didn't replace it. And it was about that big. It was probably about that big. And I was guarding a guy. Or no, I wasn't. No, I just received a pass and I turned upfield to make like a throw myself, stepped right into that hole. And because I didn't know that like the ground wasn't there, it was a couple inches below, right? My foot started like reaching and I rolled my ankle and landed like here instead, because the ground, it's kind of like that, like in Looney Tunes where they walk off a cliff and they realize they're not on the cliff anymore. And they're trying to keep their eyes up, but they reach down to like feel where the ground is, and there's no ground under them, right? That's what happened with right? Like my ankle just kept reaching. Now, lucky for me, the second this outside part of my foot touched the ground, I knew that like, that's not how I intended to land. I intended to land with like a flat foot, right? So I immediately just kind of collapsed. I just rolled down to the ground. And that rolling action of me like falling, that reacting to what happened the wrong way quickly is probably what saved this from being like a full-on sprained ankle. It's definitely really tender even today. But like I'm still, I played the rest of the game, I played all the rest of the day, and I played the next day, and I'm gonna go play today after this class. Sitting on it right now, it is a little tender still, but like, it's for the most part it's in a pretty safe spot. So that's reaction to something, right? That's why I love that term, because it is all about like how fast you can react. So you react really slowly, you put your whole body weight on something, you might end up tearing like a ligament. So we are going to design a program that's going to help our clients learn how to react to things much faster and be more plyometric, right? So plyometric is like, sometimes it's called jump training, sometimes it's called reactive, right? But they're explosive movements that focus on rate of force production and reactivity to ground reaction forces. They're explosive movements like bounding or hopping or jumping. Just so you guys know the difference, jumping is two legs, whether it's jumping forward or jumping up. Hopping is jumping from one leg to the same leg on one leg, or like one leg to two legs. So that's a hop, right? If I jumped from with my right, landed on my left and my right, that's a hop. Or if I jumped on my right and landed on my right, that's a hop. And then bounding is like jumping from my left to my right, to my left, to my right. That's a bound. Technically, those definitions are there. I don't think anybody actually uses them. I don't use them. I know them. I never speak that way. But there is technically a difference between a jump and a hop and a bound. This is going to take advantage of what we call the stretch shortening cycle. So when we talk about a plyometric, it's a rapid stretching of the muscle followed by a rapid shortening of the muscle. So we call that a stretch shortening cycle. It's a rapid stretch of the muscle, which we would call an eccentric contraction. Remember, that's a contraction while it's lengthening, followed by a transition, and then an explosive shortening of that muscle where we release the energy. So even like, let's say I'm holding a football and I'm holding it close to my chest, right? And I see somebody open, I'm going to pull that ball back. I'm going to lengthen everything out, right? I'm eccentrically stretching, and then I'm concentrically shortening as I throw the ball downfield, right? Or if it were me, because I don't play football, right? I'd have a disc in my hand and I would cock it back and then unload, right? Or cock it back and then unload. I'm going to stretch, shorten, stretch, shorten. Or if I'm going to jump, right, I'm going to always start with the stretch and then I'm going to shorten, right? So, we see somebody doing like a high jump exercise, right? And you see them stretch, shorten, and then they jump up. Lengthen, shorten. So remember when we talked about stretch reflexes in our nervous system lecture? We talked about how when you rapidly stretch something, your nervous system gets, pardon the pun, nervous. And so it actually contracts the muscle because it thinks it's being over pulled. So what it does is it pulls back. That is actually why it's important to do a really fast load before you do an explosive unload. It actually turns your nervous system on and makes it more explosive. This is why dynamic stretches don't really improve your flexibility. In fact, they kind of turn your muscles on. So plyometric or reactive exercises are very, very, very explosive. Now, when we're talking about training youths, right, we are trying to help them develop the skills to learn how to hop and sprint and we're trying to get them to learn how to be very explosive. And there's a big benefit here because it decreases their risk of injury going into adulthood. But it also is a really good way to put a lot of pressure on their connective tissue and their bones and strengthen those things so that they don't get injured, right? It builds a very strong foundation. So we really love explosive movements for youths. We just need to always ask ourselves with every client, if we're going to implement this, is it safe? Is it progressive? Meaning, did I build on my foundation or did I jump forward a step or two? And is it fun? You know? So we're going to see 3 levels here, right? We're going to see the stabilization level, the strength level, and the power level. And there's going to be plyometric or reactive exercises for each. So in our foundation, in the stabilization level, we're primarily focused on reactive or plyometric stabilization type exercises, right? What the heck does that mean? Well, it's an exercise that's very explosive, but it's really just focused on developing landing mechanics, and they involve little to no movement upon landing. So just like before, I didn't move my spine, I didn't move my balance leg. Now I'm not moving once I land. I'm not going right into the next rep. I'm going to hold and I'm going to see, was my landing good, right? Like, let's say you got somebody do like a box jump and their knees buckle it, right? Hold, take a second, push those knees out, take your brain to go, okay, this is where I should have landed, and then do the next one. And then maybe the knees don't cave in quite as much, but you're like, nope, they're still caving a little bit. So you push them out, right? This is my position. Got it. You do your next one. And eventually you start learning to land in that proper position. That's the stabilization approach. So this is a box jump, yes, but it's a box jump to stabilization. So she's going to jump. And again, this girl's not holding her landings as long as she's supposed to. It should be 3 to 5 seconds. She jumps, she lands, holds it for 3 to 5 seconds, and then comes up. Holds for 3 to 5 seconds, and then comes up. Man, she's really stable. So that's the box jump to stable, or maybe a squat jump, or maybe even a tuck jump to stabilization. That's a really good one. Friggin' hard exercise here. But a tuck jump to stabilization, right? So she jumps, tucks the knees, lands. These are good. These are good holds. Now she's killing it, right? But that's the approach that we're looking at there. Now, what if our client's in the strength level? Well, now we can start getting a little bit more repetitive about our movement. Now we're looking more at plyometric strength exercises. This might involve like a full range of motion upon landing. So now you're learning how to transition between lengthening and then getting into your next rep. You lengthen, get into your next rep. So this is where, yeah, we just see like repeat squat jumps. This could not be simpler. Squat, jump, squat, jump, squat, jump. That's the approach that we're looking at with the plyometric strength approach, right? So repeat squat jumps, repeat tuck jumps. Also really hard, by the way. Squat, tuck jump, squat, tuck jump. She's going from one right into the next, right? So this is much more about learning that transition, or maybe like a butt kick. This is also a really hard exercise. not butt kickers, but kick. Yeah, nobody ever does this one. Right from one right into the next. That is way harder than it looks, by the way. So that's our strength level approach. See the difference between like we hold upon landing versus like going right into the next one. Well, now, what if it's like we are going as explosively as possible? Plyometric power, putting our explosive stuff with our explosive stuff, right? So this involves a full range of motion as fast as possible. So this is about eccentric strength. This is about reactive strength. This is about reactive stabilization. This is about dynamic neuromuscular efficiency and rate of force production. This kind of improves everything, but it's also very advanced. So we really shouldn't be doing it with beginner level clients. So proprioceptive jumps is a really good example of this. It doesn't have to be a super, yeah, there's a lot of kids stuff out there. Yeah, there we go. Proprioceptive plyometrics, right? So this is, it doesn't have to be super intense or hard on the body, but it is like very explosive on the nervous system. So what he's going to do is he's just learning how to be, rebound from one right into the next, no pausing in between. That's not the most advanced, super intense exercise in the world, but it is training the nervous system and it's building on the foundation. If you go into something like this with poor habits, and it could be one leg, he's doing a single leg version here. If you go in with like poor mechanics, you're only going to make those mechanics a little bit worse every single time. Ice skaters is a really good example of this if they're done explosively. They should be moving as fast as possible. See, now he's doing kind of a slow descent. I would call that a little bit like how slow he's like stabilizing. I'd call that a balance exercise in the power level versus this version here. I think this version here. Okay, come on. Oh God, no. I can never find people doing this right. Ugh. Going as absolutely fast as possible. Grr. There we go. So now she's really not taking a lot of transition time in between each. Again, doesn't have to be the world's fastest exercise. It just means that you're shortening the time between transition. She's transitioning very quickly. That's what makes it a plyometric power exercise. Does that track everybody? Does everybody understand that? Again, checking in with Cyrus and Danny. I know this is your first time seeing this, but are the two of you guys feeling pretty good about this?
Yes, sir.
Love that. Oh, I lost somebody. Oh, we lost Chris. So here's the thing, guys. In order to do plyometric exercises, it is really important to make sure that your client has adequate core strength, adequate stabilization, and adequate range of motion. If they don't have any of those things, they really shouldn't be doing these. This is why NASM kind of moved the reactive stuff or the plyometric stuff out of the movement prep, because maybe it's not appropriate for every client. So for youths, we are putting it in the SAQ section, right? We're basically, instead of doing core / balance / reactive, we're doing core / balance, and then we have reactive / speed / agility / quickness. There we go, right? That's a slight difference to how I've been showing you guys lately, but they recently made that change. So that's the importance of the reactive training. Now, what about the athletic stuff? What about all the really fun stuff? This is the stuff we're going to practice when we meet next week. The speed, the agility, the quickness, right? So there is a difference between speed and agility and quickness. They're each sort of their own aspects of athleticism, right? So these are teaching you how to like accelerate, how to decelerate, how to stabilize. They're teaching you how to like have hand-eye coordination. And they are also, they kind of feel like you're having fun. You know, they kind of feel like, you know, playing a game, right? So the rationale here is to work on speed, agility, and quickness is because, again, you're learning how to react in a very real life explosive setting. So here's what I mean when I say speed, agility, and you know, and it might involve like a speed ladder or maybe playing like a game, or you know, like using specific cones and running a certain route. But here's what I mean when I say speed versus agility versus quickness. Speed is linear speed. It's traveling in one direction as fast as you can. Agility is about changing direction, right? So in this version here, if they're going through a speed ladder as fast as they can, they're just going in one direction as fast as possible. Agility ladder, right? They're sprinting, they're changing direction in this box. So that's more of an agility. This is more of an agility situation. And then quickness is the tough one to sort of define, but quickness is changing body position in reaction to something else. So like me turning over my shoulder and taking a catch, for instance, that'd be a quickness drill. Or, you know, have you guys ever seen tick, so sprint drill? You ever see kids play this game here where they're doing a little bit of let's close that, a little bit of tic-tac-toe. They both sprint, right? So there's a little bit of speed, but now they have to, like, you know, the next kid's gonna have to respond. You know, they're not allowed to run until like the other person touches, right? So now they have to sort of like react to things. Well, that kid was very fast. See how he was trying to get behind him, right? This is I would call this a quickness drill. They have to respond to some type of like external stimulus. They don't necessarily know what's going to happen, right? That's a quickness drill. Or it might be, you know, let's see here. That's a speed drill. That's also working on speed. Where'd that one go where he was like lined up with him? He was doing the reactive drill, like this right here, where the two of them are lined up. That's what I'm looking for, actually. There we go. Here's like a reaction drill, right? So these two basketball players, this is called the partner mirror drill, right? And so he's got to dribble the ball and he's throwing something at him that he has to catch with his other hand. That's a quickness drill. Okay. He's changing body position in response to some type of like other external stimulus, right? That's quickness. Or in that version, he's got to learn how to like catch it on the bounce, right? So speed is sprinting, agility is changing directions, quickness is hand-eye coordination, right? So maybe like these are really fun for small group training. These are really good for group exercise. They're really fun for kids. So you can see here like a snake drill where like you lay, you know, you make someone go through something and then the other person has to do it afterwards. It's kind of like, it's like follow the leader, right? Or it's, you know, what Simon Says, you know, like that kind of a fun little game. So you can use this throughout we actually tie this to the OPT model as well. It just works a little bit, it works a little bit different. So if we look at the OPT model here, with clients in the strength level, or I'm sorry, clients in the stabilization level, we are primarily going to focus on speed drills. It's really the only type of drill. So we're just the S in SAQ. If our clients in the strength level, we're going to do speed and agility drills. And if our clients in the power level, we will do speed and agility and quickness drills. So this is very similar to what we saw in cardio yesterday. Like clients in level 1 get zone 1. Clients in level 2 get zone 1 and zone 2. Clients in level 3 get zones 1, 2, and 3. So speed, speed and agility, speed, agility, and quickness. So what do I mean when I say, you know, speed drills, right? I'm talking about running in one direction as fast as possible, right? So this is looking at like your stride rate, how fast you can like turn your feet over, and your stride length, how much distance you're covering. We want an optimal amount of like stride length, and we want an optimal amount of stride rate, right? If we move our rate too quickly, it limits our length, and so we actually end up losing speed. You know, like imagine if you were taking like really quick steps, you're not traveling very far, you're not moving very fast. But also imagine if you were taking like huge steps, you can't turn over very fast, so that's also not very effective. This is why a lot of times runners will learn how to run at joggers, like long distance runners will learn how to run at a specific cadence. So they learn how to turn their feet over fast enough without taking too large of a step. Or you can do a speed ladder drill, and a speed ladder drill is going to be really good at improving that rate. And then you can have them do like sprinting drills where they're driving as hard as they can. That's going to help them cover their length. And then you train both those things together, you create a faster athlete. Now, like I said, agility drills, this PowerPoint is all over the place. Agility drills are all about changing direction, right? So if I hit a cone and then I have to change directions and go to the next cone. And maybe I decide to do it in a different plane too. This is a sprint, side shuffle, back pedal, karaoke. And then I do the same thing, sprint, side shuffle, back pedal, karaoke, right? That's an agility drill. It's all about accelerating and it's all about decelerating. It's changing directions, right? And then quickness drills, like I said, that's learning how to respond to an external stimulus, throwing something at somebody and they have to catch it. So with clients in the strength level or in the stabilization level, right? We are primarily going to do exercises that involve limited horizontal inertia, so we're limiting agility, and limited unpredictability, that's limiting quickness. So that means that we are primarily focused on speed drills. So with clients in the stabilization level, we'll put a program together with like lots of speed ladders and lots of sprinting, or maybe some track drills where they're just working on their footwork, right, in one direction. Then if I got a client in the strength level, I'm going to choose exercises that allow for a little bit of greater horizontal inertia. So we are implementing agility, but we're still limiting unpredictability. We're limiting quickness. So we're doing agility and speed drills. So maybe like a left drill, right? Left drill is one of my absolute favorite drills out there. And it looks like, whoop, that's not it. What happened here? So he's going to sprint, touch the cone, back pedal, touch the cone, turn and side shuffle. So he's doing directional change and he's doing like accelerating and decelerating. So, karaoke, and then he's going to do one final sprint at the end. And now the drill's over. So that one's really good for working on that agility, right? Or maybe a box drill like we saw here, right? That's agility. It's directional change. And then that's when we get to a client on the power level, we're going to choose exercises that allow for maximal horizontal inertia, so lots of agility, and maximal unpredictability. So we can do speed, we can do agility, and we can do quickness, right? So they might do something like a partner mirror drill. They might do something like a partner mirror drill. So they're both here. This guy's leading, this guy's following, and they're sort of competing to see who can do what. The one guy has to follow. He doesn't know what's going to happen, right? He's just trying to follow the other person and pay attention to them. So he's also going side to side, so he's getting a little bit of agility. He's going as fast as he can, so he's getting a little bit of speed, but he is also getting a lot of unpredictability. And that's our clients in the power level. So a modified box drill or a red light, green light game, or even like just follow the snake, right? All of those things where like they don't know what's going to happen. That's going to be really good. So SAQ is really good because it feels like playing. You know, it feels like youths are going to love it. Adults are going to love it, right? It helps you accelerate, helps you decelerate, and it helps you stabilize. So speed ladders are a really good, powerful tool. They're like 25 bucks on the internet. You can find them on a clearance rack for pretty cheap. You can get a set of cones for like $10. You get that and you are ready to teach a full SAQ, speed, agility, quickness boot camp that really feels a lot like cardio, burns lots of calories, but it's very fun. You just want to always ask yourself, is it safe, progressive, and then make sure that it is sort of a good time. So I've got an example program that I put in Canvas that incorporates all of this. It'll be in the email tonight when I attach it. But here's an example of like putting this all together with our client where we did all the flexibility training as well, right? So you can see here, if I had a client who started in phase 1, right? So they started in phase 1. Their first month is stabilization, right? I would give them a core balance reactive routine that is primarily focused on stabilizing. And then I would follow that up with a little bit of SAQ that's focused only on speed. So there's the Mcgill routine, right? Mcgill sit up, bird dog, side plank. That's our core stabilization stuff. I got 3 balanced stabilization exercises here and 3 reactive stabilization. This is a full workout here, right? And then a little bit of speed ladder drills and a little bit of a sprint. So I'm really just focused on stability. Now, would I do all of this with my client? Probably not. This is like 3 days worth of stuff. I'd probably, pick one exercise each time. There's my workout A, right? And then I would maybe pick the other ones for workout B, But you'll notice I've got all of the stabilizing. Like these don't move the spine, these don't move the balance leg, these don't move upon landing, and these are all just speed drills. That's my client's first month. Next month, I'm going to build on that foundation. Now I'm going to move the spine. I'm doing a ball crunch, a back extension, a twist, right? Or I'm going to move the balance leg. It's full squat touchdown, full Romanian deadlift, lunge to balance in the transverse plane. Or I'm going to move upon landing in my reactive exercises. Squat jumps, repeat tuck jumps, repeat butt kicks. Now I'm going to do a little bit of speed and agility. So I still do my speed ladders just like last month, but now I include a little bit of agility in there as well. So they're doing a left drill or a box drill where they're getting a little bit of directional change. And then finally, if I got a client in the power level, right, I am moving the spine fast with my core power exercises. Their 3rd month of training, they're advanced now, right? A pull over throw, reverse overhead throw, rotation chest pass where they're throwing it very explosively. Or they're they're jumping into their balance, right? They're a single leg hop to stabilization, a single leg hop down with stabilization, and ice skater to stabilization. Or I'm doing reactive explosive movements and I'm doing them as powerfully as possible, right? So, and a repeat ice skater or a repeat hurdle jump or a repeat hurdle jump, but transverse, I'm twisting. And now I've got some speed, I've got some agility, and I've got some quickness all implemented all at once. So that's how I'm progressing my client. That's how I'm using the OPT model, right? I'm using the level 1 stuff for my level 1 client. I'm using the level 2 stuff for my level 2 client. I'm using level 3 stuff for my level 3 client. And hopefully you guys see the difference between, because there's going to be stuff that's not in your book. You're going to see a cool exercise on the internet and be like, I want to implement that. Where do I put it? Again, no movement of the spine, full movement of the spine, full movement of the spine fast. And no movement of the balance leg, full movement of the balance leg, full movement of the balance leg fast. These are the questions you're asking yourself. That's how NASM put these into categories. Questions, comments, concerns today, guys. And that was a long one. We had a lot to get through, but hopefully you found it fun. Questions?
No, thank you. All is good.
Love that.
No, I'm good.
Awesome. Cyrus, Danny, how you guys feeling?
Good, sir.
All right.
Good.
Cool. All right. Well, ladies and gents, I will let you all out of here and we'll start getting into resistance. We're getting into meat potatoes territory tomorrow. We're going to look at the body part stuff tomorrow.
And for the new
All right.
people in your class, I just want to say it makes more and more sense every time we go over it. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for saying that. It does feel like a lot in the beginning.
And it feels good when it actually starts making sense to you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
eventually, eventually you just look at the characteristics. You don't even look at like where, like I don't look at stuff in my book anymore. I just know the characteristics, right? If somebody was like, hey, I got this exercise, I'm like, where would I put this? I'd be like, yeah, I'd do that with my beginner client. I'd do that with a really advanced client,
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Guys,
Bye, Brad.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Yeah,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye, bye.
later.
Later.